Hello, my dear students. Our lesson today is about ancient Greece or the ancient Greek civilization. Before we start, we should get introduced to some of the words that are important to understand this great civilization. First, we have Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great was a king of Macedonia who took control over Greece, Egypt, and most of the countries from the east of the Mediterranean Sea as far as India. The Parthenon was an ancient building on the Acropolis in Athens, built as a temple of the Greek goddess Athena, who was the goddess of wisdom. Dionysus was also a god in the Greek mythology. He was believed to be the god of wine and fertility. In Roman mythology, his name was Bacchus. Mount Olympus is a mountain in northern Greece. In the Greek mythology, or according to the myths and legends of the Greeks, it was the place where the Greek gods lived. Zeus, in the Greek mythology, was the king of gods. He was the father of humanity and the ruler of the universe. Now here are some of the pictures that may help us to understand them. First, we have the Parthenon. This is the temple of Athena, or the Parthenon. Then we have Mount Olympus. This here is a picture of Alexander the Great. This is a drawing of Zeus. And finally, we have a statue, or a picture of a statue of Dionysus. The classical period of ancient Greece flourished during the reign of Alexander the Great, one of the greatest military geniuses in history. In this period, Athens reached its greatest political and cultural fame. The full development of the democratic system of the government under the Athenian statesman Pericles, the building of the strong citadel, the Parthenon, on the Acropolis as a temple to Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom, the composition of tragedies and comedies by well-known dramatists, the great advancement in medicine with Hippocrates, and in mathematics with Archimedes, and the founding of the outstanding philosophical schools of Socrates and Plato. The ancient Athenian society consisted mainly of free citizens and slaves. Free citizens, people born of Athenian parents, were the most powerful group that could take part in the local government. After compulsory service in the army, they were expected to be government officials. Slaves worked as servants and laborers and had no legal rights. They could not own houses or land, nor were they allowed to attend law courts. This social standing was applied to men only, as women were dominated by their male partners, who did not permit them to take part in public life. Instead, women were closely tied to housework, spinning, weaving, and other domestic duties. Although the Greek landscape was difficult to farm, the majority of ancient Greeks made a living by cultivating land. They excelled in producing a wide variety of crops. However, their major concern was focused on olive trees, the symbol of their civilization. They considered olive oil not only a necessary item for daily cooking, beauty products, lighting, and medical usage, but also an earthly product with a divine power. To them, it was a gift of the goddess Athena. Therefore, it was religiously symbolic, and uprooting such a tree was a criminal offense. The history of Greek theater began with the festivals honoring the gods. The theater was an open-air structure constructed on the slope of a hill. The shape of the theater gave everyone in the audience excellent viewing and enabled them to hear the actors well too. In the center of the theater was a circular floor with an altar for sacrifices dedicated to Dionysus. The theaters were built on a very large scale, and each had a capacity to seat about 18,000 spectators. The Greek theater hosted plays, tragedies, and comedies by famous dramatists such as Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. The plays often involved current politics and social life. However, it is thought that women were not allowed to watch the plays or perform at the theater, and even female roles were played by male actors. The Greeks organized athletic contests in honor of their gods. The most famous games held on Mount Olympus began in the early 700 BC. No women were allowed to watch the games, and only Greek nationals could participate. In 472 BC, the games were greatly expanded from one-day festival of athletics and wrestling to 5 days with various events. The order of the events is not precisely known, but the first day of the festival was devoted to sacrifices, more than 100 oxen being sacrificed in honor of Zeus. The official award ceremony would take place on the last day of the festival with the announcement of the winners' names and the placement of sacred olive wreaths on their heads. The closing ceremony was normally followed by banquets held for the occasion.